Hello, this is Gray, bringing a fresh reg for you for today. This is day 2 of looking at Psalm 78. Yesterday we looked at Psalm 78, verses 1 and 2. Today we're going to look at 3 through to 8. If you want to watch yesterday's, there should be a link somewhere down there in the description to my YouTube page. You'll be able to see that. So today for Psalm 78 from verse 3, actually I'll start from 2b to verse 8. It says, "Our teacher you hidden lessons from our past, stories we have heard and known." We looked at that yesterday. Stories our ancestors handed down to us. We will not hide these truths from our children, and we will tell the next generation about the glorious deeds of the Lord and his power and his mighty wonders. Let me stop there for a sec. Asaph here is telling, is reminding the Israelites that what they're supposed to do is actually teach their children God's goodness and his power and the things that they have seen. Because if you go back to where they're coming out of Egypt, all of that was fully documented, and they kept saying that we did this so that we can tell our children, so that they do not forget who God is. My question then for you is, do you tell your children about the goodness and the power of God? When you have something to share, do you share it first with your children, or do you run to the church? When you're doing Bible study, do you get your children involved? You see, because if you don't, what happens is you might call yourself a Christian home, but that knowledge, that goodness, the power, and that you've experienced with the Lord, if it is not handed down to your children when they grow up, they will go their own way. And then people sometimes start getting surprises. Why are my children doing this? But if you go back, you realize that while you were experiencing it, they were not. If you go back and look at Judges chapter 2, it says that when Joshua and all the people that experienced God's power had passed away, a new generation came up. And this new generation started doing things their own way because they forgot about God's power and God's goodness. Actually, if you read down all of this from verse 5, especially verse 7 and 8 of Psalm 78, it says, "So each generation should set its hope anew on God, not forgetting his glorious miracles and obeying his commands. They will not be like their ancestors, stubborn, rebellious, and unfaithful, refusing to give their hearts to God." Excuse me. What's been said here is the things that we are learning, the things that we're seeing, the things that we're experiencing. God, let's teach our children so that our children may know and also experience it, and then they themselves will tell their children. And therefore, our generation that we're building, the generations coming up, will continue in the Lord's way. Asaph himself made sure that this was true for his family, because you see him in First Chronicles and Second Chronicles. It features very highly in there. But if you go all the way to Ezra and Nehemiah, when they were coming back to the city, when they were building it, the people that were leading the procession, the singers, were the sons of Asaph. And that was so many hundred years later. So he did one thing well. And what he's challenging you and me is that as we grow, as we learn, as we tell others of Jesus, let's also look behind and see who's behind us. It's our children. Let them not be left out. Let us also tell our children the good deeds, the wonderful mercy and grace of God, so that they also will grow in his goodness. God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow where we continue on from verse 9.